Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. This is Heroes Reborn number 4. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump into this one. I'm kind of late on this review, but I had to get it out because the next issue's out tomorrow, I think. So anyway, we start in outer space, blue area of the moon, and we find these Kree and the Skrulls who are here conspiring together. And then there's a kind of a ragtag assortment of other alien creatures. And they want somebody killed. And they've hired someone to do it. And it turns out they've hired Rocket from the Guardians of the Galaxy to be the killer, the assassin. And his weapon is Groot, basically, who's kind of formed a gun. And it turns out they're all doing this at the instruction of the Watcher, who has been blinded. And he says, Dr. Spectrum must die. So this issue focuses on Dr. Spectrum, who is, of course, a member of the Squadron Supreme. As it says here, U.S. Air Force Colonel Joseph Ledger was an astronaut who found a strangely colored gem while on a spacewalk. He hasn't worn a spacesuit since. As the crusading cosmic lawman Dr. Spectrum, he doesn't need a spacesuit to tame the wild country beyond the stars. All he needs is his power prism and unyielding American spirit. So this is written by Jason Aaron, with art by James Stocco. I'm going to say Stocco. And then there's a backup story, again by Aaron, with art by Ed McGuinness. And this sort of picks up from the first issue of Heroes Reborn, where Dr. Spectrum was fighting Thanos. And in this universe, Thanos doesn't have infinity gems. He had infinity rings. And Spectrum just kind of blasts his hand apart and the rings apart. It's kind of like with Hyperion. He's really kind of OP in this story and defeats Thanos way too easily. But anyway, he takes Thanos to Nowhere. And in this universe, Nowhere is kind of like a black site prison where Dr. Spectrum puts his enemies, the ones that he hasn't killed. And then he puts Thanos in there. And excellent art, by the way. I mean, this really looks great. Stocco's very talented. Now, he's attacked by Rocket. And then Rocket shoots, of course, the Groot-Gun at him. And it fires a bunch of like little Groots. And they sort of latch into him and start kind of growing through him. And Spectrum is trying to use his power prism to stop them. But the prism isn't responding for some reason. And then Rocket also has this gun that shoots these alien maggots and shoots them onto him, and they start like trying to eat him out from the inside. And then Rocket tries to grab the prism, but then the prism reacts and it flies back to Spectrum and destroys Groot and the maggots. And then he destroys the Groot-Gun. And then Rocket is on the run here. And it's a good line here. He says, "So you killed my gun. Big deal. You think that matters to me? I got more guns than your old dumb, hey, let's shoot everybody all the time planet." And then he says, "Rocket to mothership. I got no more guns." "Fire all antimatter mines and mega bombs on my position and get the Flark out of here at double light speed. No matter what happens to me, just take care of the..." But then before he can finish, he starts to glow and he says, "Wait, no, what is she doing? Tell her not to send me her powers. I said I didn't want..." And then it turns out he's become the Star Brand. And then with the power of the Star Brand, he attacks Spectrum. And then, I don't get this. Now, there's suddenly this cutaway to this other scene. And it just disrupts the story. I wonder if there wasn't a printing error or something, because this doesn't seem like it's where it should be. But anyway, in this scene here, he's basically he's torturing Ego. He wants to find out. Apparently, a bunch of ships left Earth recently, and they weren't American, so he wants to know who they are, and he confronts Ego, and he says, you know everything that goes on out here in space. Who was it? And Ego says, they're Wakanda. They're Wakandan ships. And Spectrum says, you're a liar. Wakanda is a myth. There's no such place. And then he throws Ego into a black hole. Then we cut back to this. So Spectrum himself says, the Star Brand, that shouldn't even be in this reality. The first nut to wield that thing claimed to be from some other new universe. I tossed him and the brand into the negative zone. How did you get it? And then he creates this giant cannon that shoots a star at Dr. Spectrum. And then Spectrum says, you think I've never killed a star before? I tamed the living bioverse of the Black Galaxy one bloody sun at a time. I've been places your raccoon brain can't imagine, like the Necros system of Reality 10011, from which the many-angled ones sought to launch their crusades of disease and corruption. I absorbed that entire rotting reality into my prison to keep it contained, but I don't mind letting it out now and then to stretch its legs. Your gun shoots a few measly stars. Mine fires a whole universe of cancer. I win, rat. And I don't know, apparently this thing gives Rocket, really bad cancer, lots of tumors all at once. And then he drags Rocket to a star and uses it to kind of torture him again to make him talk. He never does. But he says he only starts blabbing once I say something about finding his starship and blasting it out of the sky. I guess he really loves that ship. Then we cut to the ship, and we see that there's someone on board the ship with the Star Brand, and it's this young girl. And then we cut to Earth later, and Dr. Spectrum, or Joe Ledger, he's meeting with the president, who is President Phil Coulson. And then they're in a church, which is, it's kind of a rather forbidding looking church. But then we know why it kind of looks so creepy. Because it's a church to Mephisto. So apparently Mephisto is behind this altered reality, maybe? I mean, that seems to be what they're telling us. And I wonder if Coulson himself isn't Mephisto. Because it seems like he's always acting like he knows a little more than everyone else does. But anyway, there is a backup story. So we start with this little baby in space, and it says then, so this is the past. And the baby has a Star Brand. And then the baby is found by Groot and Rocket. So apparently they found this baby with the Star Brand floating in space. Then it jumps to now, and this is right after the battle with Dr. Spectrum, and Rocket is dead. And there is another Groot on board the ship. And the child with the Star Brand, this little girl, and she says, I know, I'm old enough to know the whole Starflarking universe is broken, and that the Star Brand can fix it. I am Groot. Yes, Groot, that does mean people will die. That's what stars do. They burn things that fly too close to them, but that's just the bad things this time. Maybe. Take me to Earth. If you won't take me to Earth, I'll find my own way. The Star Brand will show me the way. And the first thing I do when I get there is I'm going to find Dr. Spectrum, and then this ship shows up. And the ship is from Wakanda. It's a Wakandan spaceship. And they say, we found her. We found the Star Brand. So they were looking for the Star Brand. And that ends there. It's real short. It's only 4 pages. So, I mean, overall, it was a pretty solid issue. Again, Stocco, his art is quite good. I'm not sure it's the best style for the story. Again, this is supposed to be pretty straightforward superhero stuff, and his superhero physiques aren't the best. I mean, it's not bad, but, his figures are kind of simple. But he's very good with the aliens, very good with the technology. He's quite talented. And the story does evolve in some interesting ways. We do get the revelation that Mephisto is involved in this, presumably behind it. And the Star Brand is involved somehow. So You know, it was pretty solid overall. I liked it. I give this one a thumbs up. I recommend that you do check it out. Let me know what you thought of this issue in the comments, and while you're at it, please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, please sub to the channel and hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching.